Well, I was trying to figure out a way to fix the side marker lights, and actually what they had behind here was like a rubber piece, and it all rotted away. So what I did was I made a piece of metal, and I put a little 12-volt battery here to hold it in place. What I did, just so I can check it out. See, there's 12-volt battery. So what I did was, you see that's lighting the bulb. I made a little plate, right? Made a little plate of steel, and 2 notches on it where the screws go for this, right? So they hold it in place. Now all I have to do is use some panel adhesive and grind down the metal down there and use some panel adhesive and glue it in place. This will last a lot longer than that rubber crap that was in there from the factory. Everything I'm doing on this thing is actually not like the original. It may not be the best way, but it's going to last longer than the original. So what I'm going to use is this stuff here, panel adhesive. If you can read that, it's the junk here. 3M part number 08115, and it's for bonding quarter panels to cars and rocker panels and stuff like that. That's how they do cars today. They glue them together. So I'm going to glue these. These are actually pressed in here pretty good, and you see I dimpled them down so they are indented, and it works out just fine. They work out just fine. So you know, you can still change out these little tinky bulbs. So that'll fix my marker lights, because there was like rubber in here and all rotted out and stuff like that. So that's fixed, and I'm going to paint this, the inside of it, with silver chassis saver and the other side with black chassis saver after I use the adhesive and glue it in here really tight. So that'll work. These were like, I don't know, I got like 4 of these sockets and bulbs for like, I don't know, $7 delivered. How's that? Beats going to the dealer and trying to buy this little stupid rubber piece which will fall apart again. You make your own, right? Well, I had to pull out the fender just a little bit on a corner because the marker light wasn't sitting in there straight. So I used the ratchet puller, come along, you know, wrapped it around this pole here, and you know, it's lightweight steel, and you know, all this stuff that's on here, this panel adhesive, it doesn't crack. It's pretty damn strong stuff. So you know, I use one of these things, 2-ton, you know, standard come along ratchet puller. These are very handy to have, believe me. And on the other side here, so I'm going to glue in the plate like I did over here on this side, and that puppy's in there. So you know, I could put just screw this over it, and you know, do the wires. And I'm going to do these with heat shrink tubing and solder, so they'll be on there correctly. And that'll be a permanent repair. So that's it. Okay, what I'm going to do with this actually is I'm going to put a couple plates of steel over this. There's like 2 plates, 18 gauge, over that hole before, and I'm going to actually bolt it to there. After I put, I'm going to use bolts on the opposite side with fender washers, 2 steel plates, and then I'll put the 12 gauge plate over that for the battery tray with the angle. And I only had 18 gauge, and that's easier to bend, but I'm going to use 2 plates 18 gauge so it's thick enough. And I'll coat this with chassis saver, and actually it's going to be glued together with chassis saver. And when I sandwich this together, I'm going to use roofing tar. Basically, it's a special type of Loctite patch panel type stuff that will adhere this directly to that and glue it so it'll be impervious to moisture. So it's you know, it's not really the correct way you should weld it in, but it'll be stronger than the original actually, so that'll be a good way to do it. Well, I put a little truck bed lining on here and welded this up. It's a little bit sloppy, but it's a strong weld. I put a bolt in there, some truck bed lining over there and stuff like that. I'm going to put the grill back on it now actually, and the little plate for the battery, there's a double up steel plate. This is coated with chassis saver and coated with some other truck bed lining and stuff too. This is going to fix the hole down here in the bottom. There's a little hole down here, right down there. It's going to fix that. So I'll use that plate with fender washers and stuff. I'm not going to weld it, but it's going to have roofing tar, sealing it up with fender washers. It's going to be really sealed up, solid, double plate of steel. And then this 12 gauge is going over there for the battery tray. Now, I didn't paint the fender except for a couple little rust spots on the outside, but they had rust in the corners, and I slightly sandblasted everything, and I went over with some chassis saver. So that's, you know, I could paint the fender with the car, with it on the car, but it's basically all the rust is killed. So that's what the most important thing is. Well, the bumper's put back on, the grill's put back on, it's bolted on here. It's not perfect, but it looks okay actually, and I'll straighten out that corner section. I'm probably going to put some Dynaglass on it, and not do it perfect, but it's only going to be done in truck bed lining. So the other thing is I'm going over the electrical connections, you can see with the Dremel tool, and cleaning up, you know, the battery terminals, the wires. I use some dielectric grease on there. You can see that's dielectric grease. If you don't know what that is, it's a special type of grease that keeps the moisture out where you have wires joined or in a light sockets too. So I fixed the, I'm going to go over this some more though. I fixed the lights on this. The lights all work. I got the lens up there for the other side marker light, which is here, and I just have to wire it up. This one works. And then I'll have to do the battery tray. The thing is, actually, I've had this thing a long time, and it's been through a lot of environments, and it was always I always used to maintain a crap out of this thing, because I had it in 2.5, 3 feet of snow. That was the worst snow I ever had this in, and I had it in a lot of snowstorms. I had it on a beach, in the mud, tropical environments, and it's surprising, even though this thing is kind of lightweight body, it's got the advantage of getting almost, it gets over 25 miles to the gallon in a lot of cases, and there's not too many four-wheel drive vehicles that do that. So and you can idle this thing for hours and use the generator off of it, basically the alternator, and run an inverter. I mean, you can idle this thing for hours and hours and hours, and it seems like it hardly ever uses any gas. So there's a lot of advantages to this little puppy, big time. Also, just as a side note, you know, it's got a new radiator in it from a while ago, but it's hardly got any use out of it. I put a timing belt in it. This is a non-interference engine, so if you break a timing belt on it, it doesn't destroy the valves. It's got a new water pump and stuff, so it's in pretty good shape. And I'll be doing a lot of different work on this thing as we go along, but just don't want to make this too long. But the next step is to put the plates in for the battery, and I'll probably go to fix the bottoms of the fenders, but I'll be flushing out the gas tank and going off onto different subjects with this, going over the brakes. This is a Jimny 1300. It's not a Samurai. Probably have to get some. I've noticed eBay has the brakes on here, so I'm probably get new rotors, one wheel cylinder, maybe some hoses, brake hoses, and finish up the paint stuff later. But it looks like pretty much all the rust is killed. There's a tiny little spot up here on the hood, tiny little spot up by the windshield. That's it, you know. And there's a couple little plates I have to make for the bottom of the fenders, but the rust on the bottom of the fenders is killed. It's not going to rust anymore, so it's good. Well, got the yeah, like I said, I got the grill on there, making sure all the lights work, and I still got to hook up the wire on this side marker, but you know, it works back there. Side marker works in the back. You know, that's the thing. Horn works, all the lights work. Next thing I got to do is take out the gas tank, and I'm probably not gonna do any more. Like, the rust is basically all killed. It's basically an ongoing project. Anytime I see any rust, I'm gonna get rid of it. The battery's in here rock solid. If you can see, you know, this sucker is in here solid as all hell. And it's got the side terminal adapters, but you know, that's good, because if I got the top post, it would hit the hood. So this is the biggest battery you can pretty much get in here without really doing some more serious modifications. You might be able to cut this plate out and go a couple more inches, but you know, I strengthened this up, so, and that hole on the bottom is fixed. I just bolted it in a plate, but it's double thick. It's got truck bed, well, it's got chassis saver truck bed liner on it. Then when I bolted it, I went over with truck bed liner again, and you know, I'm going to go to town with this thing just to make sure, you know, it doesn't rust. That's why it actually has very little rust on it. So, but basically, once I fix the fuel tank, I'm going to check the brakes over. I'm going to do some mechanical stuff, but basically all the safety shit's good on it now, because that's a concern too, you know. Pain in the ass if you get stopped if the light's out or some shit. So, anyway, it's project's coming along okay, and trying to rush it along. The way my style is, I do things in stages. I don't like taking everything apart, you know, in a million pieces. I do a piece here, a piece there, and, you know, knock out the main problems, and then I'll go back to it later. You know, if I see something I didn't like the way I did it, I'll do it over again later. But, you know, the main thing I'm looking at right now is I don't want any more rust to develop on this thing, and that's, you know, I hate rust. And just some minor details, like, you know, this is plastic on here, so that's never going to have a problem if you want to take the battery out. This is all plastic. That was done with chassis saver. This has, what do you call it, that special, what the hell do you call that stuff again? Damn it, the grease, the dielectric grease. You know, I do all that stuff on this. I nitpick everything. Actually, that's what makes it reliable. So, but it's a very time-consuming project. But this thing, actually, if I replace, I might put, you know, if I decide to take this like off-road serious and not just, you know, go someplace, I'll put another battery in it, like a 700 ampere battery and 700 cranking amp battery. And this, I'll change that alternator because they got a Chevy adapter for that. You can put out like you know, 120 amp alternator in this damn thing, and you got all kinds of freaking power. So, you know, there's a lot of things you could do with this thing. It's like, the way I look at these Samurais, it's like a Ford Model T and a Volkswagen all wrapped into one with four-wheel drive. It's great.